Hello, this is Lisa Rusczyk
And Donna Murphy.
with the podcast We Are All Psychic. And today, if you're watching on Spotify or YouTube and you're listening anywhere, we have Ryan. And Ryan, would you like to say hello?
Hi, my name's Ryan Doherty. I'm from Belfast, Northern Ireland, and it's a pleasure to meet you both and be on your show. It's an absolute honor, so thank you very much.
Oh, we're glad to have you. And I love your accent, by the way. I love
Yeah,
Irish.
very happy to have you.
And we do have a
Yes.
question for you. We have a question for you right away. And it's, do you think we're all psychic?
Yeah, I do, and I think if for me answering that, it takes me back to my childhood in terms of just there's been so many things whenever I was a child about having like an insight that maybe something was going to happen or certain people were going to speak about certain things. And then also I had a number of dreams in my life. Like for example, where I'm living now, it was a property my dad bought whenever I was, say, in my early teens, and I kept on having dreams about driving to this place. And it was I remember when I was young thinking, why am I having so many dreams about this place? And I also feel that like whenever we have premonitions, that I feel that that is something that we have lived it before, while that's in a dream or something that we have actually previously precognized. And
Hmm.
I think as well, everyone has, if even anyone doubts that, just one question you could say to them, have you ever spoke about someone or thought about someone and then they ring you?
Yes,
Hmm.
that's one of our
Yeah,
Yes.
favorites. That's one of our favorites on the
Yes.
podcast. Everybody loves that one. Yes,
because
everybody's had that happen, right?
I
exactly,
think
even if you
so. I
say,
think
"Oh, I'm
so.
not
Yeah.
psychic,"
Yeah.
How's that happen?
That's true. And I think that once you ask someone that question, even if they're skeptical or they believe that they don't have any psychic abilities or intuitions or whatever, and once you give that example, they'll just pause a minute and it's like, well, yeah. And I'm like, well, there you go.
Yeah, you too.
There it is.
So, listeners and watchers, Ryan is he's been through it, guys. He's been through it. That's how he found out that we're all psychic, I think. So, would you like to tell them a little bit about what happened to you? So, several years ago, was it, or how long ago was this that happened to you, where everything went to
20
hell?
years ago now.
Oh,
Oh wow,
wow.
you've been better for a while. So tell the listeners and watchers what happened to you to make you.
Sure, yeah. So I was a reasonably successful and reasonably happy and confident marketing manager, and things were going well mostly in my life. I enjoyed the job that I was doing. I was fulfilled in it, and I just started dating a woman that I really liked, and she had said that she really liked me, and we'd known each other for years, and but there was a bit of insecurity about my hair loss. So I went to a hair loss specialist, and then the hair loss specialist recommended a tablet. And I said, was there any side effects to this tablet? And he said, not really. For a young man like yourself, there shouldn't be. For some people, it can affect their libido. But like a young man like yourself, it shouldn't be an issue. And even if there is, just stop taking the tablets and it'll be fine. And so I remember taking the tablets home and thinking, am I really going to risk my manhood over this? And what the thoughts were coming through was, no woman's going to want to be with you if you're bald. And the irony is actually
Wow.
before my hair like yeah, no, I guess it was
You're
beforehand.
cute as hell. You don't have to worry about it.
I don't think you
20
have,
years ago,
I
you
was
were
going to say,
younger.
I don't think you have a thing to worry
Like
about.
you were
And
just having that insecurity we all have. It sucks
yes,
Yeah,
about our
yes.
looks.
yeah.
We all have that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we do. It was definitely an element of body dysmorphia that is still there in some form. I think we all have some form of
Hmm.
body dysmorphia or insecurity in terms of our appearance. And
Absolutely.
so then I decided like I'm gonna have to take it, I've no choice. And then within about 5 days, I realized I was impotent, and for all I knew, this was going to be for the rest of my life.
Ugh.
And then
Wow.
I stopped taking the tablets immediately, contacted the hair loss specialist, and he says, stop taking the tablets, everything will be fine in a few months.
Few
3, 4
months.
months. Yeah.
Wow.
But wait here. So like I stopped taking the tablets, 3 or 4 months went by, nothing had changed.
Oh my
He
God.
stopped taking my calls. So then I started taking like going on the internet and doing like research.
Yeah.
And I started finding support forums for men who'd taken these tablets 15, 20 years later, and nothing had changed.
Oh my God.
And
Oh,
that was,
wow.
and also
Wow.
like then I would just plunge into the depths of depression, and I was faced with the reality of I'm never going to have a partner, never going to have sex again, never going to be a father. It was kind of like my life was over.
Yeah.
And so then that was in September 2006. In December 2006, it was actually around the 12th of December, and I went in to work on a Monday morning, and the boss actually made me redundant because of problems with the supplier. And so that was like, and the irony of that was I had a real successful trade show that I sold three-quarters of my salary in that one weekend alone a few months before that. It was actually the weekend, 2 days before I got the tablet. So it was kind of like all this came crashing down. Then I had to move home
Wow.
with my mum and dad because I couldn't finance myself, and I was
Wow.
just completely depressed. And so then a family friend recommended like a book about a healer who healed herself from cancer. And like this was all completely new to me then, but I was just
Yeah.
like,
What'd you think when you got
like
that book? I mean, were you thinking it was possible, or were you kind of like skeptical, or how'd you feel about
I was definitely thinking it was possible, yeah, because I was always pretty open-minded,
it?
and I definitely I wasn't reading it going like, no, that's nonsense. But it was new to me, but it was new to me, and it was good new to me.
Yeah.
Yes, good. It
But
was an
so then I
opportunity.
started having sessions with her, and then it turned out then that she started psychically attacking me.
Whoa. What'd she
Oh,
do? How
wow.
so? Do tell us about that. I did read
And
that in your letter. I was kind of curious what she did.
Yeah.
yeah, and so like it was only supposed to have about sort of about 3 to 5 sessions, and then it actually I couldn't stop going back to her, and then it was almost that I couldn't get out of a negative loop of thoughts, like just the
Mhm.
thought patterns that just kept on getting more negative and
That
more
makes
negative
sense.
and more
Mhm.
negative, and then it was
Yeah.
almost like a big like pipe connected to my solar plexus, and the energy was just being drawn out of me.
Wow.
So you got with a bad healer. You got with a very unethical healer by accident. Yeah, and she tricked
Yeah,
you.
satanic. It was satanic, unfortunately. So and then my mum was retired nurse and stuff, and then as I telling, well, she hadn't actually retired at this point, but she, as I was telling her and other doctors and psychiatrists, they were thinking this man has lost his mind, because this sort of stuff doesn't happen in ordinary reality.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Do you know what I mean?
Until you
And
live in this reality too long. That
Until
happens all the
until it
time.
does.
Until it
Until it
does. Yeah.
does. And that's the
yes,
thing. Yeah.
Until it does.
exactly. Exactly. And so then
Wow.
they were giving me tablets to take because it was antipsychotic tablets and things like this. And that was like starting to hold off my ability to hold off the darkness.
Good.
And I got to time points where I couldn't sleep for ages, and I didn't want to take the tablets. And it was almost became a hell on earth. My mum had to leave work to care for me. I hardly left my parents' house. And this went on for like a couple of years. And it was just like hell on earth, to the point where I had felt then that darkness had completely taken over my life,
Hmm.
and I was
Hmm.
disconnected from the light totally. And so then it was my granny had said to my dad about an interfaith healing ministry in a church not too far from where we lived. And so my brother said he'd drive me along. And I just sort of says, at this point, I'd completely given up. But then I sort of thought, well, why not? I may as well go anyway. And the night before, I asked God for a sign, and I opened the Bible. My mom had the Bible, and I just picked up the Bible and opened the Bible, and it was the Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd, there is nothing I shall want. Even though I walk through the valley of shadow of death, I shall fear no evil. And so I thought, no, there's no chance it's too late for me, and I sort of threw the Bible to the side.
Yeah.
And so the next day I went anyway, and spoke a little about the stuff to the Reverend, and then him and another man said they meant to pray over you, and the other man just said, "Brother Jim, I have it in my heart to pray Psalm 23 over Ryan," and it hadn't clicked on me, and they put the two hands in my head, and he says, "The Lord is my shepherd; there is nothing I shall want," and I'm just like, "Oh my God, thank you, God," and then just like tears just coming
Yeah.
down, and I'm like, "Yes, there actually is hope." After being
Yes.
so hopeless for so long.
Yeah.
And then I spoke a little bit why that was significant to me, and he says, "Oh, well, that's great. You got a massive tall." And I says, "No." And he says, "Well, maybe you should just for you, like we whiles to see if I can support you just in the moment." So I says, okay. The next morning I woke up at 10:19 and mass had already started at 10. But something inside me just said, get up, get up. So I got up and I went down, and the ordinary priest was sick that day, and I was a retired priest was covering, and I went up and got some Holy Communion, went down, and was saying a wee prayer. And so before the priest started the mass, he went over to the side of the altar. He put the arms out and he put the head down. He says, "The
Lord
Lord is
is
my
my
shepherd; there is
shepherd.
nothing I shall want." And I was like, "What?"
I love it. I love it.
What I love
I
is
got
when you
chills.
ask for what I love is when you ask for a sign, and I think possibly all of us have at some point. Just been at that moment where it's like, you know what, I need guidance.
Yeah,
God, spirit, universe, whatever source. I need guidance. I need you to show me, you know.
yeah,
And often it's extremely subtle. It's
yeah,
there, but it's extremely subtle.
yeah.
This for you was just like, bam.
I
It's
know.
like, here's your sign.
Exactly. It was like
And
you
we're
can't
really
deny that.
good.
Yeah. And think because I've been like asking and praying for a sign for years and it wasn't coming, and it was like I needed something, and maybe they were coming, but because I was in such depths of darkness and such hopelessness that I
Good
wasn't
point.
seeing them.
Good point.
Sometimes that little pinpoint of light isn't enough. Not that it isn't enough that source or God isn't giving us enough. We're not tuned in enough to see it.
Yeah.
So then it's like, okay, this is going to be so big. It's not going to be a little pinpoint of light. It's going to be one of those big spotlights like they use at Hollywood premieres, right? Where it's
Yeah.
Yeah,
a
yeah.
searchlight into space. You
Yeah,
know,
that's
I
what you got.
know.
That's what you got.
Exactly. Exactly.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah, because it was that bad. I was even Googling, please God help me. And I'd done it a
Oh,
number of times before. And maybe about 6 months later, even though I known
I've done
that I
that.
did it
That's why
beforehand,
I said, oh.
and I'd done it beforehand, and then even though I knew there was nothing there, but I was trying it again, I was just like, that's how desperate it was. And it was the points where
mm,
I was like, is there a God? Is there not a God?
mhm.
And that's it too. It was an important part of my journey after that of like ask for signs and following that. But then after the mass, I said I'm gonna go around and ask the priest a little bit about like did he really realize the divine intervention that like he was part of there?
Mhm.
So I didn't really say much, but I sort of said something along the lines of that was a significant passage to me. What was it called him to use that? And like he said to me, young man, if you think you're getting personal messages from God, you need to wise the hell up. I
I see. I think God does give us
I
personal
do too.
messages.
I do
do
too.
too.
But priest,
I
it's not
mean,
100%.
good for a priest for you to think that because then he
I
doesn't have
guess. I
a
guess.
job.
Exactly. And I felt sorry for him then because there was a
I
retired
know.
priest who spent his whole life devoted to God, and like how far from the truth could he be? And I
Yes.
never
Mhm.
really had much time for religion, but not that it needed, but that was another final nail in the coffin for religion because it
You
wasn't
can't
where I
talk
was
to God.
called
That's
to.
something screwed up. If your priests are saying you can't hear from God or talk to God, they don't know. I mean, they're people too. The
Yeah,
religion says they have the ear of God, but they're just
yeah,
saying that. And the religion's saying that. God hasn't told anybody that I know of.
exactly.
That only one
Exactly.
person has the God ear. I don't know. I didn't. That's not
Yeah.
something I know. You know, it just
No.
Well,
seems
and the
natural
thing,
that we can
yeah,
all reach, our
yeah,
divine, whatever it may be for us. So, but that's
yeah, whatever that divine connect, whatever we're connecting to that is the divine,
Mm,
whatever we call it. I mean, but to me, by the time you start boxing God in, God is this, God is not that, you've already kind of missed the plot, in my opinion, because God is all. I mean, it is.
yeah, exactly.
By the definition of God, again, source, divine, universe,
Yeah,
whatever you want to call it, it is all. It's literally everything. So how could then you start chopping it up and say, well, it's not that, and it's not this, and God can't do this, but God can do that. I mean, once you're parsing it, you've already, like I said, to me,
you're
you've lost the
limiting
plot.
yourself and everybody
100%.
else and
Well,
God.
and you're definitely limiting God. And
Yeah.
if God as an energy, as a force, as a whatever you want to call it, is everything, then you can't limit it. And
Exactly.
there
Because
is
you're
nothing
God
that is
then.
not God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
even God
Yeah.
in yourself if you think that way. So
Yes. And you
that's
are
where it's
limiting
where we start
yourself.
hating ourselves if
Yeah.
we can't find that creator within, is what I think is when
Mhm.
that. And you had someone draining it literally out of your energy, your
Out of
belief
you.
and
Yeah.
faith,
Like
and you had to
taking
fill it
your,
back up,
yeah.
I guess. How did you? I'm really curious. How did you detach from that energy, from that psychic?
Yeah, so I'll come on that in a second, but then just as I was leaving the church then, I was before I walked out, I was sort of stopped, and then to my right, about 6 foot to my right, there was a shelf of pamphlets, and I was guided to go over and lift the pamphlet, and I lifted one, and the one behind it was totally different, and I turned it around, and there
No,
was a picture of a still lake, and it said, "Near restful waters it leads me to revive my dripping spirit." Psalm 23.
I knew
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Him again. That's 4 times,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
You know, there's probably
Yeah,
other places too, and you didn't even
That
notice
was
it.
probably,
23
exactly.
here, the street sign,
yeah.
23rd Avenue or something.
Yes, yes.
Psalm Street.
I know. I
That's so
know.
great. I love it. I think that's so right.
Yeah. So the way I was able to sort of start disconnect from that, it was over it's still over a longer period of time, but it was a number of ways. A big help to me was non-duality of like just living from the truth that we are already whole, we are already perfect, we are infinite.
You beat her.
And it's like if we identify, exactly, I was identifying as myself as sky, an infinite sky, and it was like rather than the body. And if I'm infinite sky, then it's like how can you take from infinity? So it's like tapping into that more, and
Yeah, you
then
tapped into
also,
your magic and you protected
yeah,
Yeah.
yourself and you cut her off and rebuilt your own energy. That's freaking amazing. But you have such good
yeah,
energy. I imagine once you got it cut off, you could fill up pretty quick, right?
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know. You kind of learned it. Like, I don't know about you, but I've learned techniques like that. I'm very easily drained by people, and I have to learn. Like, I usually project with my empathy instead of sucking everybody's stuff out. So that helped me have a lot of protection. But then sometimes I've gone so long doing the projection, so that I don't suck in anything, that I can't feel anything after a while, because
hmm
I was like one of those empathic people who, when I was younger, I didn't really have many feelings and of my own. I just didn't, just not. I'm not very emotional, or when I was younger, I wasn't. And but I would feel everybody else's, and I thought it was mine. And so I would really feel like shit all the damn time, but I never knew why. I thought it was just
Mhm.
I was having weird thoughts, and like that, but they were all like so it was like telepathy, but I didn't know it at the time. That's what was happening, and
yeah,
everybody in high school is really miserable usually. So,
Yeah, adolescence. I mean, adolescence is a
yes,
we're
tough
all
time, but
unhappy,
there's a
yeah,
lot of, yeah, there's a
but we're
lot of angst. There's a lot of questioning.
rebellious.
There's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of insecurity. It's not an
You talk
easy
about
time.
body dysmorphia,
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
in high
yeah,
school.
I
for real,
know,
for real.
exactly.
That's really cool that you were able to do that. I love that you were able to do that. And listeners and
Mm,
watchers, pay attention to that because you can too if you're in some kind of situation where you're being drained energetically. And
mm.
so listeners and watchers, he wrote a book about this. He wrote a book. What's the name of your book?
My book is called "You Are Already Free."
Beautiful. He's showing it, listeners. It's a beautiful
Yeah,
cover. I love it. I love it. I love it.
yeah,
That's really rad. Oh, tilt it a little
yeah.
bit so we can
It's
see your
beautiful.
name. Ryan
There
Doherty. Doherty. Yeah, there it is. There you see it now. There
you
you
go.
go.
Yep,
It's beautiful. I love it. I have to
yeah.
read
Thank
it
I love
now.
it.
you.
Even though you told
Yep.
me the story and I read a synopsis in the email, I need that
Yeah.
book.
Now I want to read the book.
I do want to
Read the
read
whole
it.
book.
Yeah. That's great.
I can't help myself, and I don't want to totally divert. But I am fascinated from the time you came onto the Zoom call or the Zoom meeting. I'm fascinated by the picture behind you.
Me too.
And it really looks to me
The
almost
strength
like
card.
a very, yeah, it looks like a very, I'll say kind of stylized version of the strength card in the tarot.
That's what I was thinking too. It looks like the strength card. I love
It's
it.
a lion and a woman, right? It's a lion and the figure of a woman.
Yeah, so the story behind that is I had like a guided meditation. It was actually a friend that run the workshop, and she guided us in to meet our inner divine masculine first. And I went in and I connected and met my inner divine masculine, and he was like half being half sort of human, half lion, a big sort of like lion head, and it was just very centered in his power, and it was just like complete peace and complete power and strength. and it's just kind of like if a lion goes around the jungle and it's kind of jungle, but doesn't need to make a big a song and dance about it. It's
Right.
just
Right.
completely centered in his own power and is happy in that. And then so it was like connecting with that for a while, and then called in the divine feminine, and then it was just beautiful, such beautiful light, and like it almost like blinding. And then it was like a sort of tall sort of woman with black hair and like piercing beautiful eyes, who then became a puma. And then that sort of like the puma and the lion were sort of walking around each other, and
Love
then
that.
she came back into the woman again, and then so the divine masculine man transformed into the lion, and he started doing like a semicircle around the inner divine feminine, almost creating that container. And as
Mhm.
he was doing that, then she was opening up and dancing and doing all creativity, and all magic was flying out of her. So that was like the inner divine masculine creating the creativity and the container for the feminine.
Love
And
that.
then after I come out of that, I went online and searched for an image, and I felt that
I
beautiful
love
Yeah.
transformation.
that. That is
Yeah,
so awesome.
it's really beautiful. But again,
Yes.
since both Lisa and I are active t tarot readers, I figured you probably noticed it too, Lisa. And then I
I
thought,
did.
should I say something? Should I not say something? But I'm like, I have to say
When you
something
started
because
to, I didn't know you were
that's
thinking
yeah,
strength card too. I just
yeah,
popped out when I was like,
yeah, yeah. No, I'm like, yeah,
love
there's
that
a lion.
painting, the
Yeah,
imagery,
I love the painting. It's just beautiful.
and your
And
Mm,
it
story is
does have a
beautiful
very
with it. Yeah.
and it's got it's got those two, obviously all tarot decks are a little different, but they share, certain imagery. But that imagery for the strength card is pretty, I'll go out on a limb, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, kind of universal for the major arcana. And so just the two images of a lion and a woman and the way he's
They're
sort of almost
dancing,
like,
and she
again,
looks like
yeah,
she's taming him, or he's comforting her in
or
that
yeah,
he's
picture.
protecting her. And again,
yeah,
when you described it so beautifully, that idea of a container for that feminine creativity and the
mm,
masculine power that protects and provides structure or form, and how those two go together. It's absolutely beautiful. Thank you for sharing that too, for
Yeah.
sharing the experience. But I love that painting.
Thank
yeah. Thank
you.
you. Beautiful. Thank
Um,
you.
I would love to ask you now, like, where can the listeners find your book or find out more about you and
Mhm.
your website, or where's your
Sure, yeah. And my website is Ryan Doherty, Doherty, RyanDoherty.org. And on Instagram, it's You Are Already Free.
Mm.
I
Okay,
like that.
great. Great.
That's
And we'll
great.
make sure that any way that you want people to be able to find you, contact you, buy your book, we'll make sure that all appears in the show notes. We love when people watch the podcast and watch it more than once. But also, we want to make sure that they don't have to necessarily watch the podcast or to find that one spot where somebody mentioned their website or mentioned the book
Exactly.
title. So we'll make sure there's an easy way to access that at any time. But because I'm sure it's going to generate a lot of interest. Your story
This is
it's
great. You're a great speaker
fascinating.
too. You're a wonderful
Yeah.
speaker. Thank you so much. And,
Yes.
I'd also love to thank our sponsor, Everclear. Everclear is an advice app and website where you can get advice from psychics and empaths, so you can get the clarity you need to create the life you deserve. And I am an advisor on their website and app under the name Lisa Russick.
And I am there under the name Donna Murphy. So you can find us there. And there is a wonderful group of advisors, very gifted, very talented.
All of
So
them.
you definitely have your choice. Yeah, you'll have your choice. But anyway, yeah, it's a great platform.
Best place
It's
I've
not
ever
only a great
worked.
platform for us who work there, but feedback that we get from clients is that it's a good platform for them to work with too. They can feel confident and comfortable with who they reach out to because they don't feel like maybe they're getting somebody
It's about
who,
advice. We offer
yeah,
advice. We're not there to
yeah,
just divinate. We're there to also help you get somewhere,
yeah,
Not just
yeah,
like, tell me, does he love me? Well, we're going to talk a lot.
yeah.
We're going to talk all about him and tell you why he doesn't or does or what's going on. It's not just a yes
What
or
the
no.
heck's
We're getting
going
in
on?
there and we're going to make you feel better about it somehow.
Oh, and you know what? Guess who just showed
Oh,
up?
the manager's back. We've had 2 podcasts today, listeners and watchers, and Ryan, and you're our second. And the manager has been very involved today. Listeners, the
Hi.
manager is here, Tomiko, and she's posing at Donna. She's saying, Donna, you've been on this computer all day long.
Exactly. And she is very much, again, her nickname for us, because she does pretty much show up for every podcast. We call her the manager. And you are getting the
Getting butt.
tail
You're getting the butt
tail of
approval.
approval.
Butt of approval.
Yeah,
That's right. When she does that, she really likes you.
Yeah, so she
nice.
likes you,
She
Ryan.
approves of this podcast, so we will publish it. That's what we have to wait for every podcast. So I'd love to ask you for some advice. You know, you've got so much more to your story, but I kind of want to leave them in suspense to read your book. And
Sure.
I would love some advice for people who are listening. Where can they find that optimism within that little spark that you found? You found like coincidences that kind of helped you, but you had that original optimism to look for something, right? Somewhere deep down, even when you were going through hell on earth.
Yeah.
Did you have that little sense of optimism somewhere in you, or was it gone altogether?
Well, for me, it was complete. I generally have been an optimistic person up until that, but by that time, it was completely gone, to be honest. I was completely
I was
hopeless,
wondering. Yeah.
beyond all
Mhm.
hope whatsoever, like beyond any belief of any way back. So for no matter what people are going through and where they are, I would just encourage them that no matter what, it's not the end, and I wouldn't change anything what I went through for anything in the world because it was the greatest gift for me.
Yeah.
And it can only become a gift whenever you're open to the possibility that it is a gift. And that was one of the biggest transformations for me, was to be open and just
Mhm.
open to the possibility that on some level I chose to go through this all before I took my very first breath. And I remember thinking to myself, I must really hate myself if I chose to go through this.
Gosh, yeah, I know. It's like, why would I have signed up for this?
Do you
Why
know
would
what I mean?
anybody sign up for this?
I really hate myself. I did this to myself.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
Oh,
like,
wow.
Shows how
I
much you
did.
love yourself because you really wanted to improve yourself.
Yeah, but like I didn't have any choice, and I sort of thought, okay, I'm just going to try this. Could have tried so many other things, and I said, okay, I'm open to this possibility, and I'm also only going to sort of start looking for and focusing on the positive and following signs. And as I started to do this, my life started to transform, and I've learned that I believe that life is neutral. You can say life is
Mhm.
awful, meaningless, cruel, and unkind, and life will say, yes, dear one, and here's proof,
Mhm.
here's how, and here's more.
Absolutely.
Whereas if
Mhm.
you say life is amazing, miraculous, joyful, and loving, then life will say, yes, dear one, here's proof, here's
Mhm.
how, and here's more. And as
Yeah.
the more we ask for signs, we can get signs. But as we go about our daily life, we can almost picture of a cloudy sky, and that's like our thoughts. So you can't really get the inspiration or the insight or the guidance. So the best way for me that I had found was to practice mindfulness as much as I could, and by doing that was almost like clearing the clouds, which is similar to clearing
Mhm.
my thoughts. And I was becoming present, and I was then, that's where the spirit and the guidance can come through, as there's no
Mhm.
thoughts, there's no interference on the radio or whatever way metaphor you want to use. And then I
Mhm.
was starting to like things like what's come to mind is the book Celestine Prophecy, where life starts becoming miraculous again, and you follow signs, and one leads on to the other, one leads on to the other. And as if
Yeah.
we transform from the victim consciousness of why did this happen to me to why did I create this? What have I got to learn from this? Then that can transform our experience, and then we can find new answers, and we can transform our life.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful answer,
Yes.
man. That was like the
Yes.
best. That's one of the best advice answers I've heard on this podcast.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. And
Thank
Tamika
you.
Thank you
approved
so
too.
much.
She was giving you the look like, man,
Yeah,
you're
I know.
nailing it.
She was
You're
like, she
nailing
was
it.
paying attention.
Thank you so much, Ryan, for coming on the
Thank you so
Ryan,
podcast.
much, Lisa and Donna.
it's been such a pleasure to meet you, and thank you so much for sharing your story with us. I think it's going to resonate with a lot of people, maybe not the exact same circumstances, but certainly that feeling sometimes of going into what could be utter, despair, or is at that moment, utter despair. And I know there are going to be a lot of people inspired by your story. Thank you
I know
so much
too.
for being with us and for sharing it.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for having me.
And
Thank
we do
you.
have
Yeah.
one last question for you, Ryan. Do you
Yeah.
love our podcast listeners and watchers? Do you love them with all your
I
heart?
love them all so much.
Oh, he loves you, listeners and watchers. He's giving the heart too. Oh, well, the big heart.
Giving the
Big heart
heart.
day.
There
Big
we
heart
go.
day. Wow.
We
Thank
love
you,
you
listeners
all.
and watchers. Peace.
Thank you. We will see you all
Bye.
very soon. Take care.
Bye.
Bye for
Bye-bye.
now.